Hey everyone, Chris Bentley here. Welcome to the Social 333 podcast. I'm your host, and today I have Austin Medlin. Austin, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you? Great to be here.
Fantastic. Thanks for flying up. I know you came from Tampa, so that's awesome. Talk to me a little bit, or tell the audience about yourself and your background.
Yeah. So today I'm kind of branded as a sales and mindset coach. So typically helping online coaches, or really just business owners in general, get better at sales, raise their prices, build better systems, automations, leadership, scale up their team, and really just grow their company.
How did you get into sales and mindset? Because I looked at your Instagram a little bit, and you're like, you made 7,000 calls. I used to make 100 calls a day. I used to do, I think I told the audience before, I used to do multi-level marketing. So I used to do like insurance sales, and I used for life and health. I did mostly life. And then I also sold like retirement funds. Like I had my licenses. So I was doing, the UILs and BULs, all this, variable universal life, all that
Yep.
stuff. Talk to me about like your sales background, like the calls and stuff like that, because that's really, I think, a big bulk of your business, right? It's like the sales stuff and helping people that are salespeople.
Yeah. I mean, sales is the highest paid skill set on planet Earth, yet most people don't know how to sell very well. And as a business owner, if you're taking sales calls yourself or doing sales yourself, you just don't have time to not be good at sales. Because if your close rate is 30%, 70% of the time you spend is quite literally just wasted, which as a business owner, you can't afford. So my 7,000 calls were all inbound leads. So they weren't cold calls. Because I think if you're making 100 cold calls, 200 cold calls a day, you can hit thousands pretty quick. For me, they were 1 hour calls that were all inbound. So they were booking onto my calendar. The company was running the marketing. And so that's 7,000 hours of sitting one-to-one with people from all over the world, some rich, some poor, some with good mindset, some with bad, from just everywhere. And obviously when you take that many calls and spend that many hours with that many people, kind of have to be an idiot not to figure it out. Started to notice the patterns in human psychology of how people make buying decisions, created a methodology that I started using that was working extraordinarily well. And then because I was doing well, people started reaching out, dude, could you teach me? Could you teach my team? Started doing some consulting on the side. But I stayed as a sales rep for almost 5 years.
Wow.
So it was the only hat that I had to wear. So it's pretty easy, right? If you're just wearing one hat all day, every day, sometimes 10, 12, 16 hours a day, you get pretty good at the skill. And then November of 2023, started my company, closesales.com. Now I just focus on teaching my process to other business owners so they can scale.
Talk to me about that, because I learned a little differently. A lot of my stuff was cold calls. A lot of people were just, somebody was interested in buying life insurance, or somebody was interested in coming on board as an agent, or, back then we would sell the pitch of, you'd be a millionaire within a certain amount of time, right? Like the old adage stuff. Now it's like Instagram. You just kind of show it off, right?
I did network marketing as well.
Okay. So you know what I'm talking about.
Spoke on stages. The only time I've been to Dallas actually was when I was 18. I went to UPW with Tony Robbins. That was the
Cool.
only time I've actually been to Dallas prior to today.
Very nice. So yeah, so you know what I'm talking about. Like I actually came to Dallas for an event, and that's kind of how I kind of like started to learn the lay of the land kind of deal. Um, Talk to me about like sales and stuff like that, because for me, I was kind of the same way. I just made a lot of calls. If you hit enough calls, somebody's gonna say yes. And I was really young. I think I was 27 or so, and like all I was doing before that was like turning wrenches at a dealership, changing oil and stuff like that. I was really big into racing cars. That's just back before Fast and the Furious. So I was doing like street racing, stuff like that. And then I kind of stumbled on Wolf of Wall Street and started reading his books. This was before the movie came out, and like I learned a lot from him. Talk to me a lot about like what your coaching process is, especially with like a lot of people struggle with like handling objections. Like,
Sure.
Like somebody will say no, or it costs too much, or maybe I have to talk to my wife. Like I've heard just about call me in May, or what is it, June
Yeah.
now? Like call me in the winter.
It's always something.
It's always something. Like how are you finding like a lot of people just cannot handle that objection, or like they give up too easy?
Yeah. I mean, what I do is a little bit different. So I'm really good at objection handling. Like if you want to give me an objection, I can handle it, right? No matter what it is or how ridiculous it is. But What I found is 99.9%, dang near every objection is preventable with better discovery. And so discovery is the point of the call where you're just information gathering from the prospect. And so the quote that I live and die by and teach to all my clients is people gauge your level of intelligence based on the quality of the questions that you ask, not the statements that you make. So if you can ask
Mhm.
more intelligent questions, you can go deeper with a prospect to truly understand them. That way, when you transition into making your pitch, they actually believe what you're selling. The easiest way to visualize that is if you walk in, sit down in a doctor's office, doctor comes in, pokes you in the head and says, "Does that hurt?" And you say, "Yes." And he says, "You need brain surgery immediately." It's like, well, hold on. Like, I don't care how much credibility, how many white coats, how many offices you own. I'm going to go get a second opinion
Right.
because the head and the heart are not aligned because he hasn't spent enough time with you to truly understand where you're at to then make a proper diagnosis that you actually believe. So I'll spend 15, 20, sometimes 30 or more minutes just in discovery, almost like a game of ping pong, where I ask you a question, you give me an answer. I ask you a question, you give me an answer. I don't make statements. I don't recap. I don't relate. I don't soften the pain that they're in. I just simply ask another intelligent question. And after doing that, I gather so much information from the prospect that they're like, wow, this guy, A, super smart. These are really good questions. B, actually cares about me and my situation and my well being and the trajectory of my life. Then it builds a ton of trust. So when I transition into my pitch, it kind of melts away all of the objections. If you're getting an objection on a sales call, especially if you're getting it repeatedly, the easiest thing to do would be to reverse engineer that into discovery questions. So if people are constantly saying, I need to check in with my spouse, great. On your next call, build questions. Hey, by the way, you single, married? What does that look like? Oh, I'm married. Awesome. What's your spouse's name? Oh, it's Stacy. Cool. Does Stacy know you're on this call today talking to me about XYZ? Oh, no, she doesn't really know. Why not? What do you think she's going to say? Does she need to be involved in making a financial decision in terms of helping you accomplish X? If the answer is yes, I'm not going to pitch that person because I have one decision maker, not two. If I pitch one, that guy's going to have to go back to his wife, regurgitate all the information. She's going to have questions. He's not going to have the answers. She's just going to say no because she doesn't understand what she's saying yes or no to. And so I'd rather just pitch all the decision makers. So whatever objection you get, reverse engineer it into better discovery questions. By doing that, you prevent any and all objections ahead of time proactively. And when you prevent objections proactively, you seem super helpful. When you handle objections reactively after they've heard about the program and the price, now you seem salesy. So it's just a different dynamic of approaching a sales conversation.
Yeah, mine was more and still is a little more of a harder pitch. Somebody will say, "Hey, like, I had to speak to my wife." I'll be like, "Okay, well, I understand," but then I just kind of like loop back around to, either trust, which I think is really, really good, caring, but empathy is another one. I think the biggest thing I think a lot of salespeople really screw up on is not listening.
Sure.
I'll ask you a question, and then you'll start talking, and then I'll be like, "Oh, but I got something for that, and I got something for that too," and
Yeah.
yeah, and before you know it, like, the person's like, "Well, I'm not done, talking,"
Correct.
and you lose that sale really, really quickly,
Yeah.
especially if you get on the phone with somebody that's high net worth, been pitched before, is a salesperson. Like, I think salespeople are the easiest people to close anyway
I agree.
because
100%.
because they've already been through it. They're like, "Okay, I know where this guy's going or this gal is going." Um, I saw that you do a lot of high ticket closing. Talk to the audience a little bit about that. I know about it, but I know a lot of people really don't understand what like a high ticket is and like what a high ticket closer really is.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't understand it either. Like when I was introduced 6 years ago now to the world of like high ticket sales, I was like, great, I like sales. What are we selling? Houses, cars, boats, planes, like those are all high ticket in my mind. And my mentor at the time was like, no, there's these online coaching programs, whether it's a fitness coach, life coach, career coach, business coach, teach stocks, teach real estate, whatever. And they have these programs that are 3, 5, 10, $50,000. They spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, some of them millions of dollars a month to generate warm inbound leads. They need closers to get on Zoom calls, educate them on the program, the process, whatever it is they're selling, handle objections, collect a credit card, and enroll them into the program. Okay, that makes sense. Like my girlfriend at the time was a fitness coach, very small, doing like 20, 30K a month. So I was like, okay, so it's the same as her, but way bigger with way more volume, way bigger teams, way more money. The CEO can't take all those calls. So I was like, that makes sense. So I got into the world of, basically selling these high ticket coaching programs, and there's programs for anything. Like I've worked with over 500 business owners now. If you name the niche, I've probably done it. Like I have a guy who teaches men over 50 how to play guitar in their pastime.
Wow.
I have a guy that teaches independent like music people how to become their own producers. Like dating coaches, career
Nice.
coaches, life coaches, like trauma coaches. Like it's the world is so vast in terms of coaching, and coaching's been around forever, right? Like all the way back in the day when there's tribes, there's like a leader of the tribe that would teach their ways to the younger people, right? Like coaching's been around forever. You go to school to get coached. It's just in a classroom setting rather than the online model. And I think ever since 2020, it's hyper accelerated. Number one, companies that are looking for remote teams, they value less in person, less like office type. And then also consumers are now more willing to spend thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars over a Zoom call because there's just so much trust because of what COVID did with Zoom, people staying home, things like that. I got in right before COVID hit, got really good. COVID hit, and then everything just went nuts.
Wow.
It was like perfect
Yeah,
storm of
really
opportunity,
perfect
right
time.
place, right time. Yeah.
That's really interesting because I've run into, and I had some guests too, that like they pay to be in certain rooms, and I followed a guy that, and he like he'll pay like 100K to be in the room. And it's not just about being coached. It's also about the people that are in the audience, the people that you can network afterwards with. He said that he ended up going to like an event, and he paid, a couple of $1,000, like $30,000 to get into this room. And he went to the event, ended up like knocking it out of the park. A lot of people hired him for his services, and then since then he's like never been, you know, not busy or looking for a client, which is really cool. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I've spent 200K in the past couple of years to be in the rooms,
wow,
right? So, like coaches, courses, masterminds, events, like I've happily spent over 200K
wow,
to be in those rooms. And I think what coaching does and investing in yourself does is it hyper accelerates you getting to where you want to go by learning from people that have already walked that path and can just say, this is good, this is bad, do this, don't do that. And as long as you trust the person you're hiring and they're actually a good coach and a good mentor, you're going to get to where you want to go way faster, way easier, way less headache. And that's all, like, that's what I tell people on sales calls. I'm like, look, you're really smart. I don't think you need me. I genuinely think you could figure all of this stuff out on your own. And they kind of sit there and they're like, okay, so I should hire you or I shouldn't hire you.
right.
And then I follow that up with the question just becomes, how many years is it going to take you? And how many millions of dollars are you going to leave on the table to figure it out? And then they're like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to spend years trying to figure it out. If you can just teach it to me in 8 weeks or less, like, why wouldn't I just spend a little bit of money to get to where I want to go in 8 weeks rather than 8 years?
I'm definitely that person. I think it's just because I'm Greek, I'm hard headed. Like, it's just one of those deals where I'll be like, well, I'll figure it out. And I usually do. Like, when I was at the government, they would always be like, like, you always end up figuring it out. It may take you a little longer than somebody else, but like, you'll figure it out, which is really cool. Um, Talk to me a little bit about like mindset of some of the people that you meet, some of the people that are doing sales, like, um, and some of the like changes that they need in order to prevail. I don't want to give you like the nuggets and stuff like that, but just kind of give me like kind of some stuff that you've seen that people kind of like really screw up on, or people like really need to get over the hump with, whether it be like a fear, whether it be just, a swift kick in the pants. Like, what is it that like you've kind of seen that people in sales are really just not doing?
Yeah. Most people are just not set up to succeed because we don't get to pick the family we're born into. And so, up until at least in the US, like you're 18, you're not an adult until you turn 18, right? So, we needed someone, parents, grandparents, guardian, like somebody to tie our shoes and make sure we look both ways before we cross the street so we don't die. We needed that person. But that means as we grow up for almost 2 decades of our life, we're taking on the beliefs of the person or people who are raising us, whether we like it or not. And most people, if you just look at collectively in America, Most people don't have a whole lot. They don't have great beliefs. They don't have incredible lives. They don't make a ton of money. They don't have freedom. They're not genuinely fulfilled and happy. And so if that's how you're raised, you have to make the decision when you turn 18, like, do I want to keep doing that? Or do I maybe want to make some different decisions and chart my own course and go in a different direction? And so most people, when they get into sales, what happens is they hear objections and then they have this fear of like, I want to be liked. I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to have pressure. And at the end of the day, you're doing the prospect a massive disservice because their brain is designed to keep them safe, not happy. And so if they're 30 years old, that's 3 decades of programming that you're fighting against, trying to explain to them, hey, your brain is telling you safety, which is hoard the money. But what you really want is happiness of going in this other direction and shaping and changing the trajectory of your life. So for me, I'm not really worried about like how people perceive me, right? Like I have a ridiculous mustache. I drive an orange supercar. Like people don't look at me and they're like, oh man, what a stand up guy. But like their perception of me is not my problem or my responsibility. And I can't change it anyway, right? If no matter how I dress, how I act, what car I drive, someone will love it, somebody will hate it. So I stopped trying to make everyone happy and I just started living by telling people the truth. And so if a prospect is in their own way, I'm willing to have the tough conversations. I'm willing to hold their feet to the fire and I'm willing to help them get out of their own way to make better decisions so we can make the rest of their life the best of their life. Most salespeople just aren't willing to do that and they have a choice to make. Start telling people the truth, start holding people accountable, start having the tough conversations, find a different industry. Like that is the only way to genuinely be good at sales is to actually care about people, tell people the truth, and help them make the uncomfortable decisions, knowing that they will thank you later. Like I have client success interviews where people multiple times have told me, dude, I didn't even like you when I hired you. And I was like, why'd you hire me? Like, because I knew you would tell me the truth.
Mm.
I knew no matter what, you would hold me accountable, you would push me in the direction of my dreams, and you would always tell me the truth. And then I'm like, well, do you like me now? They're like, dude, I love you. They're like, don't create any more programs. I will buy them. Right. So
Wow.
I think there's a decision to be made in sales. It's like we can be liked today, but not make any money and also be hated later. Or we can get rich today and be loved later. Because if you don't hold people accountable, they're going to like you for that. Oh, Chris is a really nice guy. You know, we had a great conversation. Like, I'll probably reach back out to him. Never, right? But, you know, it's this facade they put on, oh, dude, next month I'm in 100%. And then they never do. And then months will go by, years will go by, and they will hate you for not enrolling them and genuinely helping them with whatever it is you sell. If you're
Mhm.
a fitness coach, they're going to be overweight a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now. And they will blame you for that, for not holding them accountable and getting them the help that they got on that call so desperately needing. So you make no money and then people hate you anyway.
Mhm.
Or we can make a ton of money in commissions and closes. And then people will be sending us Christmas cards for the rest of their life because they're like, dude, I could not be here without you. You changed my life. You changed my family's life. I'm a better human. I'm a better father. Thank you. And they will always come back and thank you later. But it starts with that tough conversation.
I have some agents and I run into this problem all the time where it's like they'll try to create a video or do a walkthrough or something. And I'm not from Texas. So like I'm from the East Coast and when I was at the East Coast, I was known as like a car guy. You know, we were talking about cars earlier, right? So like I was the guy that worked at, the dealership. I was the guy that worked at the junkyard and then I started getting into sales and like I didn't have my dress correct. You know, this is before really like the internet kind of took off. I didn't have like somebody dressing me like they have now, like fashion consultants, right? And all I was doing was basically throwing on my Skechers and like some slacks and a button down. And I go try to sell some insurance. And at that time, also, I was doing loans and I started getting into real estate. And I moved. I just got up and left. And I came to Texas, Dallas, Texas. And like I just started selling like right out the gate. And because people thought of me as that person, not, the car guy. And I think a lot of agents that I hire just really struggle with the fact that like, hey, what happens if my best friend sees this? Or
Hmm.
like, what happens if like my ex sees that? Or what happens if like my whoever I went to high school with sees the fact? And I'm just like, dude, like, who cares?
Yeah, do you wanna make money and help people, or are you more concerned about the perception of people that you don't even care about?
Yeah,
Because everyone they're naming, they don't even care about anyway.
right.
And I've dealt with that, right? Like, I used to had a YouTube channel years and years ago, and I had, like, fraternity brothers who would, like, take a video and post it in the fraternity group chat and just be like, "What is this?" Like, and I was always getting laughed at, I was always getting trolled, and I had a full circle moment, actually, a couple months ago. I was on the golf course with my buddy Tony. He's a year or 2 older than me in my fraternity, and when I was doing network marketing, I was always getting shit all the time, laughing at me, "Oh, it's a pyramid scheme, it's this, it's that." And we're on the golf course, and he looks at me and he goes, "You know what, Medlin?" That's what all my fraternity brothers call me. He's like, "You know what, Medlin? You were right." And I was like, "About what?" He's like, "When you did network marketing and we all made fun of you and you stuck to the course, I truly believe that that was the catalyst that launched you into entrepreneurship and sales. Now you're making more money in a month than most of us make in a year, some of us 2 or 3 years. You were right, and I'm sorry for talking shit back in the day, but I'm proud of you for sticking to it no matter what." And it was like this really full circle moment where he was like admitted like that I was right. And I'm 31. That was back when I was 18. So
Wow.
13 years ago. And it was like full circle on the golf course. And then he's like, "By the way, you are the nicest douchebag I know." That's how he described me. And I was like, that's pretty accurate, because on the outside, very masculine, like, have an appearance, whatever. But when my clients, family, friends, whatever, they get to know me, it's like, I just really care about people. And I think life is hard for all of us. There's
Right.
death, there's divorce, there's just bad stuff that happens to everyone. And I figured that out very young, that life is hard. And so now I just want to do the law of increase. If I can leave everyone in everything just a little bit better than I found it, then that ripple effect on the rest of the world will be fantastic. And so I just really care about people. That's why I think I'm willing to have the tough sales conversations that most people aren't, because I'm not worried about how people perceive me. I'm just worried about helping the individual that I'm selling to.
Nice. Talk to me about the client retreats that you have, because I thought that was pretty cool and pretty interesting.
I think that's my favorite thing that I do.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So I've done 3 now. I did a 4th, but it wasn't like an official retreat. It was a couple clients just wanted to come down to Tampa and hang out. But the first one I did was in Siesta Key, and it was right in between, if you remember the hurricanes last year, October of last year in Florida. We got rocked by two
Oh,
100-year
yeah.
storms. Like, you guys' ice storms here, like, that's kind of the equivalent of what we had. And they were like back to back, like 3 weeks apart or something like that. And
Wow.
it was, I mean, my mom's beach house and condo are still gutted
Wow.
from October of last year, right? So
Wow.
it's crazy. But I had the retreat, and it happened to fall in between the 2 storms, and it, like, worked out miraculously. And I had 12 clients come down, had a chef one night for dinner, catered all the food, just, like, paid 25 grand to Keaton Hoskins, if you know who that is. It's
Mhm.
at The Muscle on Instagram, and paid him to fly down and spend the day with us, and it was just incredible. Like, and I was like, "Dude, I'm now addicted to this," because I work on the internet all
Right.
day, every day. I sit in my cave, as I call it, my office that I built, and I just, like, I'm there all the time. But getting to connect with 12 people in person, meeting them, like, giving them a hug, hanging out with them, it was really special. I did another one in Arizona, and then I just did one in Austin, Texas 2 weeks ago. That one was the best one I've done by far.
Wow.
Massive Airbnb on a cliffside of Lake Travis. We had huge water slide, which was everyone's favorite part for some reason. We had a 30-foot water slide, DJ, pool party, rented some boats. We do some workshops. But I think the power in the retreat is not me being the guy. I don't host the retreat so I can be the guy and everybody looks to me. I host the retreat so they can be the guy and the girl for each other. So, like, I might be having a conversation over here with 1, 2, 3 people. They're having a one-on-one over there. They're looking at their ads accounts over here. They're talking about sales and mindset and leadership over there. Like, everyone is just, like, taking and giving what they need to each other. And I call them siloed conversations. I think that's far more powerful than boats and water slides and me
Right.
speaking. Like, they hear me speak enough, right? Like, I coach my clients pretty intensely. Like, they hear me speak enough, but getting them around a network of other people forces them to raise their standards. Everybody leaves there, they raise their price, their close rate goes up, they hire more people, they spend more money on ads, their business doubles, triples, 10x's virtually overnight. Because when you put them in a multi-million-dollar Airbnb, most of which I've never done before, you fly them to a place they've never been. You have a private chef all 4 days cooking breakfast, lunch, dinner, who's world class. It's the same chef, Matt. I fly him to all the retreats. He's
Nice.
amazing. And I just sold out another one in the Bahamas in
Wow.
November. This one's going to be a little bit different. Miami for a night, 150-foot yacht, 6 hours over the Bahamas,
Wow.
3 nights at an Airbnb in the Bahamas, and then private jet
Wow.
home. So that
Wow.
one's limited to 10 people. The one I did in Texas was 31
Wow.
clients. I
Wow.
sold it out in 2 days. They're like, "No, no, we wanna come, we wanna come." I'm like, "All right." So I got another Airbnb, sold that out in a week, and then
Wow.
more people like, "I wanna come, I wanna come." Like, "Look, you guys gotta get your own accommodations. I'll discount the tickets, and, like, you can get Airbnbs or whatever you guys wanna do." Ended up being 31 clients from 6 different countries all over the world.
Wow.
The crazy thing about Texas was I got my brother out of corporate America, so I got to fly him first class for the first time ever to Texas. We spent the whole weekend there, and a bunch of people who had been following me on Instagram who wanted to work with me but hadn't pulled the trigger yet, they saw the Texas retreat, and they're like, "All right, like, I gotta hire this guy." I think I enrolled 6 clients in, like, 3 days from when I got home
Wow.
because I was in Texas and calls were just being booked
Right.
just from me posting stories on
Wow.
Instagram and reposting. So, like, Texas was incredible for the people that were there, and then it was also incredible just for business growth of people seeing it like, "Damn, like, I want a community like that. I wanna do cool stuff like that."
Right.
And then now people are telling me to book another one in September, even though Bahamas is in November. They're like, "No, no, do another one, do another one." I'm like, I'm tempted.
That's
I
good.
might
That's
do it.
demand. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanna do at least 2 to 3 per
Nice.
year.
Nice.
Yeah, they're really special.
Austin, if somebody wanted to get in contact with you and try to book some stuff and talk to you more in person or over the internet, how would they do that?
Yeah. Easiest is probably Instagram, just the Austin Medlin, TheAustinMedlin. And then I have my YouTube channel linked in my bio there as well. That's where I do all long form content. And I was talking to a buddy of mine, Adam, and he was the #1 sales rep at Salesforce out of 30,000 reps.
Wow.
So he knows a thing or two about business sales. He owns a tech consulting company now. And the way he described it, he's like, I'm pretty smart when it comes to sales and entrepreneurship. He's like, if I can't listen to someone talk for 5 minutes because they're just gibberish talking about random stuff, I don't think they're credible. He's like, I can watch every single one of your YouTube videos, long form that are 30, 45 minutes an hour. I can sit and watch your short form on Instagram. Like, you know what you're talking about. He's like, I can just sit and watch it. So I have Instagram for like short form and then YouTube for long form. And I think people can go to those places, kind of take what they need. If somebody went and watched all my YouTube content, they'd close a hell of a lot more sales. That's for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Austin, I appreciate you coming on the show and appreciate you making your way out here. And I'll probably end up having you back on the show at some point.
I love it. Yeah. I appreciate you having me.
Awesome. No problem. Thank you.